I'm David Ainsworth, Head of Communications at the United Nations Secretariat of the Convention on Biological Diversity. Today's Substa 26 interview is with Manoela Pessoa de Miranda, who's with the Minamata Convention on Mercury. Full disclosure, Manoela used to work with us at the convention. Hi, Manoela.
Hi, David. Pleasure to be here.
So today we're going to talk about mercury. So first of all, can you talk about, why is mercury pollution an issue of global concern?
It is indeed an issue of global concern. Mercury is a very toxic chemical. It accumulates in the food chain. So small fish don't have much. As the fish grows, it has a lot. But worse than that, as it goes up in the food chain. So fish that eat fish, for example, or animals that eat fish get polluted. And the toxicity is extremely, extremely high. So it goes from small tremors to lethal impacts. So it impacts both humans and the animals that eat those contaminated fish.
Wow. So this idea of bioaccumulation, and there's as it amplifies, bioamplification?
Biomagnification. It's exactly over the food chain. So there is a bioaccumulation and biomagnification.
Okay, so who is most affected by mercury pollution, and why are these groups the people who were affected?
So we have on the one hand the animals, for example, cetaceans, whales and dolphins. It's very, very harmful for them. But of course, being at the top of the food chain, humans are very impacted. And among these, indigenous peoples and local communities, because they are so closely dependent on those natural resources, basically food, they are extremely impacted. Primarily women and children. Women, for example, if they are pregnant and they have high mercury levels, their children will be born with defects. And these are lifelong disabilities.
So the other thing that I was aware of too, some other work, is it's not just we're talking about people, eating animals, but there's also a question of other processes, mining processes, for example.
Yes, absolutely.
Tell us a bit about that.
Yes, so the reasons why mercury enters the environment in this case, I should also mention, mercury is a naturally occurring substance, but it's in the soils, so it's safe. But because of industrial activities and other activities such as mining, gold mining, artisanal gold mining in particular, because people put mercury to extract gold, and they do that in the rivers where the fish are there, because mercury gets into this highly toxic form in the water. So what happens is all these areas where there is artisanal gold mining, people are dumping mercury in the environment. Now, it's a very complex issue because more than 100 million people have this artisanal gold mining as their only livelihood and their only source of income. So it's a lifeline for them.
Wow.
It causes also deforestation, contamination of water, and so on. And then there is, on the other extreme, there is also the problem of artisanal gold mining being done on indigenous lands and local communities' lands without their consent. So on the one hand, you have a problem that's more on the technological side, if you wish. On the other hand, you have problems that go from human rights, health. Health affects all of them. But you have problems that the guardians of biodiversity, and we know that community-based conservation is the most effective way of preserving biodiversity, but that's not the only reason. Of course, the socio-economic impacts are also very important, but you have those that the communities themselves are not benefiting from the mining. They're only getting the negative impacts. So it is a very, very serious problem for communities, for indigenous peoples and local communities in the Amazon basin, for example, across the 8 countries in Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa. It's widespread, this type of gold mining, the artisanal gold mining, where they add mercury, but also in Southeast Asia.
So the other thing I want to cover in this too is that, under the biodiversity plan, we talk about whole of society approaches. And in this regard, the Minamata Convention feels that we've got some things we can learn from you. How are you under the convention promoting these whole of society approaches?
It's a very good question. The Minamata Convention is really about people and nature. And just by this glimpse that I gave to you with this example of artisanal gold mining, you can see how we need to engage not only across the government, from the Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Health, Technology, Human Rights, and so on. We need to work with the communities because they are the actors of change. I only talked about the impact first. But there is the notion, and well, it's not just a notion. We know that if we want change, it has to start from the bottom up. So what we at our last COP, the Minamata Convention COP, which was last November, the COP took decisions. That one was a decision that's very important, was on the impacts of mercury pollution on indigenous peoples and on local communities, especially among them women and children. And it's the first one of this type of decision, recognizing the role of indigenous peoples and local communities as being disproportionately impacted by mercury pollution, but also as actors of change. Then we are working also, the COP also took another decision for the GBF, for the Global Biodiversity Framework, and asking us in the Secretariat, but also inviting parties to really work together to generate co-benefits. So in short, even though we have a very complex social, environmental, health challenge in our hands, we believe that through partnerships we can make a difference.
Well, these lessons about partnerships and also this awareness of the importance of change from below are important lessons we're trying to realize during the process. Great.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, thanks, Manoela, for joining us, and I hope we're going to see you for a little while longer here at our meetings.
Yes, absolutely. It's always a pleasure, Dave.
Thanks.
Thank you.